So as Irene said, I'm Heidi. I'm a senior and I go to Providence Classical Christian Academy, a bit of a mouthful. I like basketball, volleyball, ducks, and LaCroix. Those are my favorite things, yeah. So, enough about me. When Jane asked me to speak, I immediately thought I should talk about worry. I've been trusting God lately. That night, I was attacked by the lies of the devil. My worry came out of nowhere. It hit me like a wave and I was drowning. I thought, my life is so boring. I have nothing interesting or valuable to say, and I will just sound dumb. I was ashamed that trying to write a talk about worry, I was struggling so immensely myself. I believed that God couldn't use me to speak to you all because I was such a mess. Behind my worries were lies about who God is and who I am. Through the weight of my worries, I could not believe that I was worthy, lovable, or valuable. And I could not believe that God really had my best interests in mind. All that to say, I struggle with worry a lot, and I'm not very qualified to talk about overcoming it, but I'm going to do it anyway, so buckle up. There's two categories of worry that I struggle with a lot, and I'm guessing you guys do too. First is fear about the future, and the second is fear about what others think of me. Matthew 6:25-30 is a place where Jesus has something to say about this. He says, "Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your Father in heaven feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith?" And verse 34 says, "Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." In this passage, God speaks to our worries about the future through the sparrow. Sparrows don't store up food for the winter. They don't create quotas about how many straws and leaves they need to collect each day. And they don't fill planners with meticulous schedules. They don't worry about the future, and they don't need to, because God cares for them. God has a good plan for the sparrow's life, an animal he did not create in his image and who he would not die for. And God has a good plan for your life. See, we often come up with elaborate images of what horrible things could happen in the future, but they are lies. Often it takes time to understand the triviality of our worries. When I was in second grade, I went to Colonial Williamsburg with my family, and I got this straw hat. I thought it was amazing, and there's some pretty great pictures of me in it. But I distinctly remember worrying about this hat. See, I knew that in 6th grade, I would get to go on a class trip to Williamsburg. And little 2nd grade Heidi worried that when I got back to Williamsburg, all my friends would get hats, and I would feel left out already having a hat. I considered the possibilities of buying another one or trying to shove it in my suitcase. But flash forward 4 years, and 6th grade Heidi and her friends were much, much too cool to wear straw hats. This is a silly example, but it shows a pattern I've seen in my life. Satan plants false dilemmas about the future in our heads that will never come true. Recently, these dilemmas have shown up in my thoughts like, if I go to college far away, I will meet and fall in love with someone far away. Then I will have to move far away. Then I will never see my family and friends again, and a giant shark will pop out of the Mississippi River and eat them whole. Okay, probably not that last one, but you get the idea. I think I know the future, when I really, really don't. The worries I have now will be meaningless when I get there. For many worries, it's not suffering the thing twice, it's suffering it once. You'll never actually be in that situation. And even if you are, it will be so different from what you could have ever imagined. There will be troubles in your life on this broken earth, but they won't be the ones you predict. So don't try and be the God of your life. God knows what's best for you. He may lead you on paths you don't like in the moment, but one day, and it might even be in heaven, you will be able to look back and see why his plan was best. You will be able to thank him for every step. So look around. Behind you, God was good. Beside you, God is good. And before you, God will be good. You know the end, the goal, a perfect relationship with God in a perfect earth. Thank God for the ways he's worked, and thank him that he will do great things in the future. Instead of worrying about the future, allow God to use you where you are today. The other kind of worries that I tend to struggle with are worries about myself. God speaks to these through the flower. These worries often come in the forms of, if I don't get good enough grades, score enough points, get a fast enough time, perform well enough, others will look down on me and I won't be loved. In Matthew 6, we see that God has clothed each flower beautifully and meticulously. He has clothed them in beauty so that they are admired. But you are God's masterpiece, according to Ephesians 2:10, and you are made in his image, according to Genesis 1:27, and you are valuable because of it. He loves you so much that he is jealous when you worship and idolize things other than him. God shapes the flowers so beautifully, and you are so much more valuable than them. You better believe that God is shaping you into a beautiful woman. If the God who created the Rocky Mountains, the Niagara Falls, the Grand Canyon, the Great Barrier Reef, the millions of stars in the sky, and the springtime in Paris says that you are beautiful and valuable, and that you are his masterpiece, then no lie of the devil can change that. So bring your worries to God and leave them with him. Be free. Have faith in him to direct your path. And when you look at your flower charm bracelet, remember that the God who made the flowers made you so much more beautiful and has an amazing plan for your life.